first talk about what in a rapidly developing story is becoming a great threat to the safety and stability in the United States. It may become more catastrophic than COVID, more difficult than the crumbling economy, and worse than eating 10 bags of red panditas, because trust me, the red ones are like 3 times better than the rest. Green, wakala. Seriously, we need to talk about the increasing unrest in the United States and the possibility that this can get much worse very, very quickly and lead to a widespread conflict. This has become a fierce battle between the left and the right-wing ideologies, clashing right before the 2020 election. This conflict isn't new. It's been happening in the history of civil society. Basically, those who believe in equality and fairness versus those who stand for individual liberty and free will. Others have portrayed this conflict as a changing and more diverse population of mixed races, colors, genders, and immigrants versus straight white males and their white wives who are defending their dominance over American society that has lasted for the 243-year history of the United States. This is the picture, but what is happening today has everything to do with this conflict. Remember the shooting of George Floyd earlier this summer, compounded by the shooting of other Black men and women by law enforcement agents? Last week, a Black man named Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back after an altercation with the police in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where he held a knife in his hand. Some saying the shooting was warranted and there was a major threat to the safety of the police, while for others it was just another example of the police using excessive force on someone just because he or she is Black. Then 2 days later, while protests raged in the city, a white 17-year-old named Kyle Rittenhouse shot 2 people dead on the street. Leftists said that the president and many on the right were glorifying hatred and that this teenager was influenced by their rhetoric, while those on the right say that we have a right to bear arms and that he was only acting in self-defense. Mexico, I know this is really scary and unbelievable, but in Wisconsin, their laws permit you to carry a gun in the open. Although, to be fair, children under 18 are not allowed to carry weapons in public. And I'm sure someone from the National Rifle Association is like, how are we not allowing a 12-year-old to hold a gun? That's ridiculous. What will happen to poor Johnny if he's walking home from school alone at night and a bad guy drives up in an ice cream truck giving out free snow cones? How will Johnny defend himself without a gun? So tensions are rising, especially in cities like Kenosha and Portland, Oregon, where protests are continuing. So today, a United States congressman, someone who is currently in elected office, serving the people of his congressional district, said this: America is being manipulated into a new era of government control. Your liberty is threatened from within. Welcome to the front lines, ladies and gentlemen. I suggest you get your mind right. I'll advise when it's time to gear up, mount up, and roll out. Now, gear up isn't what your best friend from Secundaria says to you at 3 a.m. at any Mexican wing. Gear up, Dan. Don't pass out. Take that foam hat they're passing out. Dance to Luis Miguel and make sure you survive into the chilaquiles. I mean, I wish it wasn't that. I wish it meant that. But this congressman means is to get your guns. And trust me, the people that he's talking to have guns. They're well armed. Now, of course, the right and the left have their candidates in the upcoming election. The left supporting Joe Biden and the right standing by their man, President Trump. The Democrats have their turn to present their arguments, and the Republicans took their turn in their convention last week, and they had this to say.
Don't let the Democrats take you for granted. Don't let them step on you. Don't let them destroy your families, your lives, and your future. Don't let them kill future generations because they told you and brainwashed you and fed you lies that you weren't good enough.
Democrats, brainwashed. That was Kimberly Guilfoyle, Trump's son's girlfriend, or how Mexicans call it, nuera. Because even if you've just been dating someone for a month or even a week, you are now a nuera. You're part of the family. Doesn't matter how long you've been dating. But really making it certain that Democrats will destroy your lives. She got louder and more passionate as the speech went on.
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
The best is... Really? But who stole the show was Mark and Patricia McCloskey. And these guys were famous in pointing their guns at protesters on their front lawns in a Missouri suburb during a recent Black Lives Matter protest, claiming that they were just protecting their home.
These radicals are not content with marching in the streets. They want to walk the halls of Congress. They want to take over. They want power. This is Joe Biden's party. These are the people who will be in charge of your future and the future of your children.
They're not satisfied with spreading the chaos and violence into our communities. They want to abolish the suburbs altogether.
Abolish the suburbs. Now listen, if someone came up to me and had a good idea to abolish the suburbs of Coapa or Satélite, the Mexico City suburbs altogether, maybe I'd listen. But really, this is really strong rhetoric. And then Trump's wife, Melania, came and joined the program on Tuesday night. Looked like she just auditioned for a part in a Fidel Castro biopic. Then on Thursday night, it was Trump's turn. And I want to just offer you a very honest, unbiased look at both sides. But first, I got to tell you, he did this speech in front of the White House. This was unprecedented because by law, federal government employees are not allowed to be involved while they're on official duty in campaigns. Mexican law makes this very clear. And until this week, U.S. law has done the same. But he set this right up on the South Lawn of the White House. And also, if he's honest, then okay, we can consider a different opinion about how to govern. Trump versus Biden, we can talk about it. But this speech was full of lies and distortions and was dark to scare people of a potential Joe Biden presidency.
The Biden plan would eliminate America's borders in the middle of a global pandemic. And he's even talking about taking the wall down. How about that? Biden is a Trojan horse for socialism, immediately releasing 400,000 criminals onto the streets and into your neighborhoods. The left will defund police departments all across America. No one will be safe in Biden's America.
First of all, how many American flags do you need to show that you're patriotic? I think there's like 942 flags back there. And also, if you're listening to Trump, you better hide your kids and hide your wife from Joe Biden, right? Do you see this pattern? Their convention was extremely dark, and it seems that their strategy is to scare the living daylights out of white suburban voters, especially focusing on women, that people who don't look like them are going to invade their neighborhoods, force them to speak other languages, and the worst thing that somebody can do, force you to eat your tacos with soft corn tortillas instead of the American favorite crispy taco shells with American cheese and lettuce. Que horror. So we think, okay, maybe this is just due to the upcoming election. And when the election is over, everything will calm down and the US will return to normal. Unfortunately, that is getting less likely every day because the president of the United States is actively questioning the legitimacy of the election that his own government oversees, saying that because Americans can now mail in their vote due to COVID, there will be massive fraud. So to sum it all up, if Trump wins, a lot of people and probably the world will be very mad and will almost absolutely question the results, that there was some sort of fraud with Russians, with voter disenfranchisement, while Trump supporters will join the president in his rhetoric and force to delegitimize the election results with accusations of voter fraud and illegal votes. And many of these guys are heavily armed. If not, they can just go to a Walmart and buy a semi-automatic rifle in minutes. So Mexico, I'm a bit worried, and you should be too, because we know that what happens in the United States always has an effect on Mexico. It just seems like a powder keg is waiting to explode. But there is hope. Hope that Americans make the best decisions and make sure to put people in power that are able to unify the country and diffuse the tension. So stay tuned, because we may be witnessing the start of something far more worse than COVID-19. And I hate to say it, and I don't think it's going to happen, but there could possibly be a civil war.